Welcome to the Swedish Junior Hockey Podcast. Jacob Dahlin with you as a host. Today's guest, we're going to welcome Loui Crookes from Skelleftea, way up north in Sweden, but most importantly, grown up in Leksand. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
For you that have listened to many of my episodes, we're getting over 80 now, which is crazy and fun. I am from Leksand, and you and I got together on LinkedIn early on, and I think we talked offline a little bit about that. My son played against your brother, and it was such a unique name, so I put two and two together. I said these guys got to be related, and sure enough.
Yeah, Crookes is not a usual name in Leksand, as you know. So, but it's nice to talk to a fellow Leksing, as we say.
Yeah. So talk about your background. Where is Crookes from?
It's originating from my dad. He's English. I'm actually born in England, so we moved to Sweden and Leksand when I was 4 years old. So me and my little sister, we're born and raised in England. So that was our first language when we. So it was tough in the beginning moving to Sweden because my mom is from Sweden, so I understood Swedish perfectly because she spoke Swedish with me at home, but I answered in English. So when we moved to Sweden and I started at the kindergarten, I thought it was the same there, but no one understood when I was talking. So it was a bit of a culture crash there. But
yeah, where in Leksand did you grow up?
Åkerö.
Okay, like everybody else.
The classic, yeah, exactly.
So you grew up on the Åkerö pond or the rink on Åkerö.
Yeah, at the school, Philip Forsberg and Fredrik Forsberg and all of those guys.
And I guess it's still there, right? I mean, they have it every winter.
Yeah, it's like part of the school's playing yard or schoolyard. So when it's winter, they make sure that it's ice there, and they have like their sports lessons, ice skating there, and then in the summer it's like a basketball pitch or land hockey or.
And I think this is good for people to kind of because I think it has a lot to do with. I grew up a little bit on the outskirts of Leksand in Lindberg, and we didn't have, we went to Sjugare skola, which was first through sixth grade. I had 8 kids in class, but so we had a rink, but it was really, really, the boards were really, really heavy wooden boards, and it was a big deal to put up. So there was sometimes that, we didn't. No. We often didn't have a hockey rink at the school, but our school was so small, and it's not actually. They closed it down now, and I think everybody goes to Tällberg now. But
they've closed down a few schools now.
Yeah,
nowadays.
But how far is Åkerö, which is right across the river, so to speak? How far is it to the hockey rink in 5 minutes by bike?
Yeah, 5-10 minutes by bike.
Yeah,
not much more. So it's Leksand is pretty small for all of you guys that don't know, but it's hockey crazy town, like 7,000 people living there. But I think the rink or the ice hall that the men's team play in, if it's 7,650, so it's more people that fits in the ice hall than that lives in the actual town.
Yeah. But I think from yours, so when you grew up there, when did you start playing hockey?
Yeah, well, as I said, I was born in England, so football or soccer in the American terms was naturally my first sport and my first like contact with sporting. So and my dad being from England, that's the thing that he knew best. Also, he didn't know ice hockey, but when we moved to Sweden and Leksand in particular, hockey is the only thing that's that's getting talked about there. That's interesting and the talk of the town, and so naturally I got interested in that. All my friends was saying I'm going to hockey practice this week, and then so well, I tried it out when I was 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah. So
And it was
did you start at the organized practice at the rink?
yeah.
Or did it start through the school and everybody, all the boys played at the Åkerrinken?
I don't really recall exactly, but probably a bit of both. I think I might have seen some kids play on the school and thinking that looks fun, and then hearing my friends saying we go play ice hockey on the weekends. So I remember my first practice because, well, my dad from England didn't have a lot of knowledge, and my mom wasn't, so she didn't have a lot of knowledge either. So I don't think I only had skates and like a helmet and not so much equipment, and never being on ice before, I fell over a lot. So I think I left practice like 15 minutes in or something crying because I was so frustrated that I couldn't skate around like everyone else.
Well, I have a similar story. I remember my first practice. I actually remember my first moment stepping on the ice because I had the skate guards on.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a tough start.
Yeah, and I had a green helmet, not a blue one or white one like
No.
most people in Sweden. I don't know. I don't know where my dad bought the old UFA VM helmet. I'm older. I'm almost twice your age, but that was but at the same time, a lot of us kind of got to start the same way. Through back then, it was called the Björnligan, or now it's I think now it's called Tre Kronor Hockeyskola.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is the kind of the equivalent over here is kind of learn to play programs that are fantastic. I'd love to talk to people within the Hockey Federation of how that is, how that's been perpetuated in Sweden. But I think it's such an important part is just allow people to, come out.
For sure.
And I think it's a great point to be able to say, you can start by not having any equipment and falling down like Bambi on ice and still now work full time within hockey.
Yeah, that's I love my life right now and my job, so it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit. You growing up there just like everybody else in a hockey crazy town. When I'm reading your elite prospects profile, you didn't make it to SHL.
No, you can say
that. Which not everybody will, but I think is a great point to make here, that just because you're not playing in the SHL doesn't mean that you can't continue to work in hockey. And we'll get to what your role there as the kind of the general manager over the youth hockey programs in Skelleftea. But what was it like? So I'm assuming you didn't make the TV puck tournament early on.
No, I didn't make the TV puck. I didn't make the junior teams in Leksand. I played in like the second tier team, the LIU that we're going to talk about also.
Yeah.
So I never played at the highest level for my age or my. So I played in the under 16 like AAA league.
Yeah,
that's like the last team before the cut for the junior teams in Sweden.
So what was it? Yeah, that doesn't show up on your late prospect profile.
No, I know. I was a bit bummed out about that a few years ago, but I've let it go now.
Yeah. But at the same time, growing up, okay, the guys that you played with, who was it in your age group that are still playing? I wish I could click on it here now, but I could probably. So from the 11, 12, 2011, 2012, who were the notable players that you remember that are still playing?
Yeah, well, Fredrik Forsberg is a year older than me, and he's also grown up on Åkera. We're childhood friends. So, and you play like in two age groups. The 1 year you played with the older kids, and next year you play with the younger kids.
Yeah.
In Leksand at that time, they don't do that anymore. So he, from the guys born 96, Fredrik Forsberg, Erik Flod was there. He plays in Västerås now, I think, in Hockeyallsvenskan. Yeah, we had Robin Kristoffersson, plays in Division 1 now. Marcus Björk was really good at a young age, plays in Hockeyettan. Lukas Måg. So Sebastian Björnstad. We had a few guys. I don't think we had anyone that took it all the way to Fredrik Forsberg then and Erik Flod, but they were, as I said, a year older.
Yeah. So I
But
think
in
it's
my age
interesting.
group,
But
in my
you,
age group, born 97, I don't think was anyone that went all the way.
yeah.
Yet.
But you know that when you're growing up, that's the guys that are, even at that age, were really, really good.
Yeah, for sure.
And went on. And how many people, so if we talk about Leksand, how many, so when you are what age are you? You're 15 when you're starting to when you're in the TV puck tournament, right? And then
15,
and then you go through the
about
last
to
year
turn
U16.
16. Yeah.
And when do you start applying for the hockey gymnasium?
It's pretty early. It's like in September, I think.
Yeah.
Like late in September, you have to have sent in your choices, and then you can change the choices during a certain period of time, but you have to have sent them in before the end of September, I think.
So what was it like for you then? Because you knew that you didn't make the TV puck tournament. You knew that.
Yeah.
So did you even apply for the NIU? I mean, being in Leksand, it's one of the top programs in the country. So
yeah,
the chance of getting in from the U16 team, they may only have 3 or 4 local kids that are gonna fill those spots within NIU, right?
Yeah. No, it's a tough selection and a tough hole to go through. But no, I applied for the NYU and like hope for the best. Maybe that because we had practices through school. We had a hockey through school, it's called, or hockeyskolan in Swedish.
Yeah.
So we had practices 3 times a week with junior coaches because to make sure that the guys that want to put in a little more time with the sport can do that through school then. So
yeah.
So I thought I had a good relationship with all the coaches. So I thought, yeah, well, if I put in the work and come there and do my best every time and have a good relationship, then I might get through like one of the last spots just by being a good teammate and doing the work that needed. But it wasn't like I had any expectations of making the team through that. I think I had quite a good understanding of where I was in the hierarchy.
So it wasn't that big of a disappointment when you didn't get in.
No, I think my picture of myself, min självbild in Swedish. I'm not sure in the English
so
word.
yourself. So you're that's a great Swedish word. And I don't know what it actually means. Your view of yourself or your
I think I understood quite good like
yeah.
where I was in the hierarchy compared to others, and not that I was a bad player by any means, but just like there was people ahead of me.
Yeah, I always think that's as a coach myself, I had this conversation with a disappointed player and parent during tryouts one time, and I still remember this is 6-7 years ago, and the player didn't make the upper team.
No.
We had 2 teams, and the player didn't make the upper team, and was really, really disappointed. And he said, I should have been there. I deserve to be on the top team. And the dad was so great, and he said, yeah, I'm disappointed too, but he had this conversation and was in such a coaching manner, and he said, well, where do you think that you think that you are, and who are you better than? And they analyzed through it, and then he kind of analyzed and he said, well, and at the end of it, they kind of realized that no, that's actually where I am. The coaches didn't pick me because they didn't like me. They really, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
kid was an awesome kid, and
Yeah.
he's still an awesome kid. And but there was other players that were better.
Yeah.
And
That's
that doesn't mean that he's a bad kid or
no.
something like that. But that self-worth, it didn't change. If having a realistic self evaluation of yourself is healthy, and some
Yeah.
people often do not.
No, exactly. So that's sometimes when the disappointment is extra much, is because, as you said, they don't really have the right self-evaluation of themselves.
Yeah,
But
but
not to say that I wasn't disappointed when I didn't get in. Of course I was disappointed. That's what I wanted, but it's just to yeah.
but you stayed on. You decided not to go to another team, which is an option. You could have went to Borlänge. You could have went to Falun, perhaps. You could have went
Yeah.
to Grums,
Yeah.
Varberg.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, maybe at that time when like Västerås and Örebro didn't have as good as programs as they had now, I don't know, I might have made a spot there also if I would have applied, but I didn't even apply because I knew that I wanted to be in Leksand with close to my family. I didn't feel ready to move at that age,
Yeah,
but live by myself and close to friends, and just general safety that I felt back in Leksand. So,
yeah.
and that's great that they had the second option there for me.
And here's my point number one that I want to make, and that is life doesn't end because you didn't make the top team. You
No.
have okay, a lot of kids out there don't make the NIU their first choice.
Yeah.
Okay, do I now move away to another program, maybe and pros and cons and evaluating, but then you have this option of LIU, staying at
Yeah.
home, continuing to work, and you stuck with it. Here's the other part, is that a lot of people quit at that age.
Yeah.
And it is a selection, and some people move away to go to Borlänge for school. They may back when I was growing up, the gymnasium programs were fairly limited in Leksand, so you had to go to Falun or Borlänge to go to school, and then it became
Okay.
really, really difficult to continue to play the sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now they've expanded, so there's a lot more programs academically to stay at home. And even better than with hockey, you have the second team, which is Haraldsbygden,
Yeah.
which is um, I think it's interesting that they have a partnership. Talk about that for a second. It is Leksand, but it isn't
Yeah.
Leksand.
No, exactly. Haraldsbygden is like a little village outside of Leksand, so that's where the name comes from. But the partnership is because that's just the closest club to Leksand, and they have their practices and games in the same arena and everything. So
Yeah,
I don't know when the partnership started, but it's been as long as I can remember.
yeah. And I think it
Oh,
has what's interesting to me is that it isn't a negative. It's
no,
kind of like it's not viewed upon. It's not this. I mean, it's not the same, but it's still
no,
kind of a cool thing to do. Is I play for
yeah,
Haraldsbygden,
yeah, for sure,
which is different expectations. They play in lower divisions, but
yeah,
still a really awesome place to play. So
yeah. And I think now they've named the junior teams, the under 18 and under 20. It's called Team Leksand. So it's more of a connection to Leksand. And then the men's team, that's like in Division 3, I think they are now. They're called Haraldsbygden.
okay. And I think they're tearing it up too. I saw that they won a game like 31-0.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The lower divisions in Sweden can be quite big scores sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, for some reason I get their social media posts and stuff. But
Yeah, okay.
and then you went through your years of gymnasium, and then you ended up in Borlänge your
Yeah,
last year of juniors.
yeah. I actually quit playing ice hockey my last year at the gymnasium, so my second last junior year. like by around Christmas, I didn't think it was as much fun anymore, and that didn't feel like I want to put down all the time that was needed to practices and games and preparation and everything. So then I put it on ice, as to say, for a few months. But then I felt like, yeah, I want to give this one last go, or I still really love this sport. And so I contacted Borlänge, which is a league up from Häradsbygden.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got to try out, or I think I even they said I could come and straight away. So
And
it
did
was a
you have
fun
other
experience.
kids from Leksand that played on that same team? So you guys traveled together?
Yeah, one of my childhood friends, the best friends that I still hang out with every midsummer and Christmas and everything. Today, he had already played there for 1 year, so that's, I think, my I've been where I got the idea from. Or and then there was two other kids from Leksand that were a year younger that also played there. So we carpooled together for a season.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. But then it ended. That was it on your playing career.
Yeah, that was it. It was, as I said, it was a fun year, but I didn't feel like I wanted to keep on putting down all the work and time that was needed. And as I said, I think my self evaluation was quite accurate. So I probably understood there that if I don't put down every living hour and everything on trying to make this work, I'm probably not gonna make the NHL.
Yeah.
So
and then did you ever think about, okay, now I want to go to university? Or because I see on your LinkedIn here that, all right, now I'm going to work at Clas Ohlson.
yeah, that was it. I had a summer job there.
Yep.
Worked at the summers at the warehouse, and yeah, I had a job there straight away when I finished playing ice hockey. I was good pay. You didn't need any education, and like a really good first job, I think, coming into the
Absolutely. Such a
working life.
great company.
Yeah, good company, making good connections with people, and getting to learn how it is to being the working life.
Yeah. And then a couple of years with Leksand Sparbank, the bank. So you got to work with a bunch of people.
Yeah,
I still have
exactly.
my Leksand Sparbank account. My mom,
Perfect.
my mom used to work. My mom used to work at the bank there
Okay. Yeah.
long time ago, and
Yeah.
so I my childhood. The reason I wore 19 was because of P.O. Carlson, who worked at the
Yeah.
bank.
Exactly. Yeah, I worked with him for a year or two before he went into retirement. Also.
Yep, yep.
So,
But then you started. Then you said, okay. At some point, you got into. Who got you back into coaching? Because someone must have pulled on you and said, "Come on."
yeah, I think it was my mom, partly,
Really?
and yeah, but it was because my little brother Saki. Then he's born 2006, so he's 9 years younger than me. And when I quit, he was like in under 11 or 12 or something. And then they needed help with their coaches, because I think there were like two coaches on ice on quite a lot of kids. And I was there watching the games anyway, and because I had so much time over. But I said, so mom said, well, shouldn't you be there helping out and hang around with Saki a bit at ice? So because Saki had always been hanging around my games and our tournaments, and whenever he was always running around with a club and a ball in his hands. So she said, yeah, well, it might be your turn to hang around him and help him now. But
Yeah,
first I was like, no, I don't. I want to have my free time, and I don't want to get locked up in the ice hockey rhythm again. But so I started a bit, because yeah, well, I said, okay, it's quite fun with ice hockey anyway. So I was helping out a bit, just moving pucks, being on the ice, and then it got more and more and more. Got more and more fun, more and more interesting, and here
talk
I am.
about talk about your relationship, because you're 9 years older.
Yeah,
my brother's 2 years older. I have a twin brother and a 2 years older, and we always
Yeah.
competed, and we weren't always the best friends,
No.
right? So what's it like to have a younger brother that is 9 years younger? What's your relationship there? Because I'm sure that you've always been the big brother.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. But now we're really close. I'm very close with my younger sister, so she's 2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and Saki are really close naturally because both are really interested and passionate about ice hockey. It's both of our biggest interests. So we just generally hang out. My parents are divorced also, so we moved around or moved between them each week. So it like felt like we were the gang that stuck together, helping out
Yeah.
each other.
And
Yeah,
was he one of the rink rats that was always playing with the tape ball and
yeah.
you're out there?
Every game, every practice, every tournament, he was always a ball
It
and a
was
stick in his hands.
it was funny because when I was growing up, I played with Niklas Nordqvist, who
Yeah,
later played in the 8 team, and I remember Jonas Nordqvist,
yeah,
who ended up playing in the NHL, was the guy that was always around.
yeah,
Lennart, their dad, was assistant coach on our team, and awesome guy. But I remember Jonas was this little kid that was just always playing around with the tape ball, always
yeah,
sticking his hand and kind of
yeah,
growing that way.
yeah. I
Says something
recognize that.
about kind of the younger brother and making it. And
Yeah,
let's be real. I mean, Zaki is a talent. Still plays in Leksand J20 national now, and like I said, I remember watching him and incredibly fast, incredibly skilled, and is doing really well. um, right
yeah.
now. Well,
It's gone good for him. So hopefully he keeps on making progress, making his goals. I try to not interfere too much. As he has to make his own journey and understand himself what needs to be done to reach his goals. But I try to be there for him if he wants to, like, I mean, discuss stuff here and there. But I try not to interfere too much.
yeah, no, it's wise. It's wise. All right, but then you ended up, so you did a couple of years there coaching, and then how did it come about to make hockey a full-time gig, moving up to Skellefteå?
Uh, it was actually just coincidences. I never really, of course, I wanted to work with hockey full time, but it was not like I had a made out plan or this is what I got to do. Uh, but as I said, I followed Saki's team. He's the kids born 2006 in Leksand, so I followed them up to the under 15, and then under 16, like the high AAA league in Sweden, under 16.
Yeah.
And then after that, I felt like I want to do something else. I lived in Leksand my whole adult life and was a bit tired of the job I had at the bank, even though I really enjoyed it or liked it, my colleagues, and it's a good job to have. But I felt like I want to try something new now. And like half a year earlier, I met my now girlfriend or partner, and she's from Skellefteå. So
Okay.
she played in the SJHL team in Leksand, then, the women's league. So
That
we
is
met.
that is the real connection here, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So we met, and she wasn't going to play in Leksand a second year, and I felt like I want to try something new, so it was perfect timing.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, Skellefteå had tried to get her home every year since she moved. She went to a gymnasium in Linköping first, and then to Leksand, and so because they want to try to advance up in the league. They're in the second women's league here in Skellefteå, but a really good team and a good organization are close to getting up each year. So she wanted to be a part of that, and I said, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So and then I contacted Niklas Lundqvist, the what's the English equivalent, sportchef here in
Yeah, the general
Skellefteå.
manager, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah.
Do they have a general manager for juniors and then a general manager for the A team, for the pro team?
Yeah, like Niklas, he's for the whole club,
Okay.
women's, my boss over the juniors and youth, and then Erik Forsell is like the general manager for the men's team.
Okay.
So in Swedish it's sportchef and general manager. So
Okay.
Niklas is the sportchef, but so I reached out to him, sent him an email with my CV and what I've done, and a personal letter about me as a person. Said that I want to keep on working with ice hockey. This is what I've done earlier. And then he contacted me and said, for this under 15 team then that we have here in Skelleftea, that I could be assistant coach there or help out coaching there part-time, or just in the evenings. Just that it had been in Leksand, I had to work full time at the normal job, day job, 8 to 5, 8 to 4, and then do this in the evenings.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, sounds good. And then like 3 months in or 2 months in, we moved up in August, late August, and I think in October, he called me and said that the youth hockey supervisor that had to leave, be on sick leave. He had gotten sick, so they asked if I wanted to step in his place.
That's a big difference.
It's a big
Assistant coach for
difference.
U15 to
Yeah,
Ungdoms
but
Ansvarig.
yeah, but I thought that they must think that I've done something well and seen something in me to make them ask me that. So I said, yeah, of course, why not? And then I got first it was just to January, I think, like 3 months, and then I got prolonged a year longer, or a year and 3 months. So I got to April, this coming April then, because we don't know how long the other guy was going to be away for.
Yeah.
But he's back now, which is great. He's recovered fully, so we work together now. So we're splitting the role.
Yeah. And I had Jacob Strandberg on before. He was also working up there, and and I can't remember who the J20 coach came from, Gävle too, I think, or
Växjö.
Växjö. Yeah, they worked together in Växjö.
Yeah.
And
Joel Rönnmark.
yes. We talked a little bit about that in our episode too, because he's I think he is now full-time with the J20 national team with Sweden as a video coach.
Yeah, Jacob, yeah. He's done good for himself.
Yeah, so really good conversation about video and technology and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah,
so
he's great. He taught us a lot here last year when he was his last year here.
And assistant coach on the J20. So, but all right, let's move on to this kind of conversation about, so what does it mean to be ungdomsansvarig? What age groups are you dealing with in Skelleftea?
Well, it's a lot. in here we used to say, or we normally say, none has to do it. Someone has to do it, and someone is in charge of that. So I'm someone. It's a lot of things, but it's really fun. It's great variation. There's always something new happening, but also this structure that what needs to be done. But it's a free work. You decide your time yourself when you do what and when. So it's great. But the ages are, this season, it's the youngest are born 2018 to 2009, which is well, Tre Kronors Hockeyskola då.
Yep.
As we talked about, the youngest like learn to play groups.
Yep.
And two kids born 2009 are under 15, which is also the team that I'm head coach for right now also.
Who drives the goals and kind of key performance indicators for that? How much of that is influenced by Swedish Hockey Federation, and how much of it is the board or the sportchef or the internal kind of operations department? Who drives kind of the goals for what you're trying to do?
I think probably the Swedish Federation has like the certain goals, and in communication with all the people in charge in the different clubs, and then the people in charge take it to us in within the organizations. But we don't have goals and stuff decided by the federation. I think each organization and club has their own like goals with their
And
youth.
is that set by your internal kind of leadership group there?
Yeah, the board and like the sportchef and junior coaches, and it's all a mix, and everyone has a say, but ultimately it's the like the board and the GMs.
And I'm sure it shifts a little bit in terms of like you want to have breadth, bredden, you want to have and you want to have depth.
Yeah,
That you want to be able to get as many people involved as possible, both on the boys and girls.
yeah, for sure.
And you want to be able to develop players and you want to develop leaders. How much of your time is spent on are you then trying to establish systems to recruit players and coaches, or where do you spend most of your time?
No, I think I just try to make sure that everyone's here and having a good time. They like to come. They have a good experience and want to come back next practice, especially or starting with the youngest teams, the learn to play groups. That's like where everything starts. As you said, we want to have a lot of players to begin with, because naturally there's going to be some players that quit playing ice hockey because they want to play football or floorball or whatever, or just lose interest. But we want to have a big base of players to begin with, so we have a lot of players at the end, hopefully, when they get older, when the selections start.
And what's the strategy to have, and what's the strategies for people having fun?
Yeah, that's a good question. uh, I think you have to be a good person, människokännare. You have to know how to deal with different types of persons. You have to be social. You have to understand how people work, I think, to make sure that they're comfortable and just enjoying themselves.
And at the same time, I mean, I think that one thing that helps you is that you're not that far removed. I mean, you're 26. You're not like me, 48. Right. I mean, there's advantages by being recent, yet that your experience isn't that far removed from where those parents or players are. And you've got a younger brother that is even closer.
Yeah.
That is, so what's he? He's 17, right? He's 17.
Yeah, 17.
I mean, does that help you in that role to be able to kind of align with those players and parents to say, what is fun and how do we create an environment that is fun to come to the rink and do this thing called hockey?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. So I'm not on the ice all the time with all the teams. I'm here and there on the ice with the coaches and the players to have a quality assurance that they're doing the right things that we want to. But no, I think you just, when we talk with the coaches when they come in, because I don't know how it is in the States or in Canada, but our youth coaches are mostly or nearly always parents that work for free. It's no paid coaches. So we have to educate our parents, then our coaches ourselves, or send them to the educations or lectures that the Swedish Ice Hockey Federation have.
How much do you intervene in terms of finding the right seat on the bus for each of the coaches? Because they have different experiences and different, like you said, the personalities. This person's a rah-rah guy that can't even skate, but man, we can really use a rah-rah guy.
Yeah. No, we just encourage everyone to be there if they can. If they can be there once a week or once every 2 weeks, that's perfect. But the more the merrier. because it's more coaches to be there and feedback the kids, and it's hard to be 30 kids and 2 coaches, but if you're
Yeah.
5 or 8 coaches, you can divide up the stations, or you can have 2 coaches on one station and help feedback the kids. So we don't really exclude anyone. We just want to have as many as possible, as long as they make sure that the kids are having a good time.
Is there a lot of red tape involved with red tape, meaning bureaucracy to the entry point? So when you're having a parent, do you make it really easy for them to get involved?
Yeah.
What does it take? Do you have to go through coaching certification and background checks and all this kind of stuff?
No, we try to make it as easy and accessible as possible. So firstly, for the kids, to try to keep the costs down as much as possible, because the sport of ice hockey has a reputation of being expensive and taking a lot of time. So we try to keep the costs down. But then also in the learn to play groups, we just have anyone that wants to be with and help out, and as I said, make sure to that the kids are having a good time. But then when they get older, you have to have at least 1 or 2 when they register for the games, and the lineup, 1 or 2 has to have the right education.
Yeah.
Within the ice hockey. Then we always make sure to send our coaches so they have the right credentials for their age group.
Yeah.
But
well,
it's not a must to have an education to be with the team and to be with on the practices, but it's at least 1 or 2, so we can have the fill the krav, the needs,
the demands,
demands from
the requirements.
federation. Yeah, exactly.
So how much of your so you rely on the federation for a lot of the continuing education for coaches, even from from the really young ones, young coaches, so to speak, or inexperienced coaches. How much of that also do you guys provide internally, or is all of that done through the federation?
No, most of it is through the federation, but we also have meetings like once or twice a season.
Yeah.
Where we talk about different stuff. It can be different topics each time. We try to make sure that they feel secure and feel like we help them out also, not just leave it to the federation.
Yeah, I think that's healthy. I've been there, and I empathize with you. It's not easy, and
No.
sometimes you got personalities that want to, they want to go in there and it's my team, and I want to do it my way, and sometimes you have to interfere and be like, there's a reason why we have this kind of strategy, because no, I only want to have 10 players. I only want to have the 10 best, and that kind of stuff. But at some point, then the older they get, the closer you get to that U16 time, your focus tends to change a little bit, right?
Yeah. So that's also a thing that we try to educate the players and coaches about that. That's make sure to be here and learn to love to practice, and good things will come over time. If you practice good over time, good things will happen.
Yeah. Well, and certainly Skellefteå has been kind of a leader. It's funny to see how Sweden geographically tends to create this, and I think a lot of it is because of the NIUs that are in combination with the big clubs.
Yeah.
But Luleå, Skellefteå, Modo up north have been, I mean, I would say Björklöven as well in Umeå has been a kind of a, leader. Now they do have, because of being an SHL team, you have more resources. We just had the J18 and the J20 coach on from Boden as an example. They don't have as much resources, but they play an important role. Let's talk about that a little bit.
For sure.
Of the difference between, because offline we talked about your strategy of when do we, coming to Skellefteå is not necessarily the best thing for every player.
No.
right? And there's only so many spots. So talk about your or Skellefteå's model of being the place you want to be, the place for the top talents to come to, but not
Yeah.
necessarily a requirement for everybody to go to.
Are you talking from the under 18 age now, or?
Yeah, or earlier, that you guys talk
Yeah,
about, like at the age you 14, 15, when you're
yeah,
starting to put the teams together.
yeah. Yeah, well, as we said offline, we have tryouts for the under 15 team. Usually, I think in Sweden it's under 16. That's probably the norm.
Yep.
But we have from under 15 because we believe that we get an extra year trying to work with the players that make the cut before they have to make the choices for the school, for the NYU, and eventually the NYU connects to the under 18 team. So we think it's a year earlier for cuts, but it's a year more for getting the players accustomed to our practices and our training methods and volume of training.
So if I'm pulling up the this year's U16 team, which
Yeah,
is in U16 SM or U16 region,
yeah,
a lot of these guys are from Skellefteå.
yeah.
But does that really? But not all. Then you also have guys that are from Burträsk,
Yeah,
Lejon, Wilhelmina, Burträsk.
that's like towns nearby Skellefteå, so it's all within the region or close by. So when we do
Yeah.
the tryouts, we invite everyone from the close clubs and close towns, so they can apply for the tryout. Whoever wants can be part of the tryout, but not everyone's going to make the cut.
But then, so if you are one of those kids that didn't make that cut,
Yeah.
then they play on a lower tier U16 team, right? You have two U16 teams.
Now we have one under 15, which is the first year of the try, and then one under 16. So
Okay.
we don't have two teams in the same year group or age group.
Do you have a
Uh,
mixed team?
no.
Okay, because I know, like
We,
when I was growing up, we had a U15, we had a U16,
yeah,
and then we had a U16 that was a mixture of U16 and U15.
yeah,
That's what I played.
exactly. Yeah, that was the same when I was the under 16 also. So it's not too long ago that they changed that. But now we have just two different age groups and two different. But the guys that don't guys or girls that don't make the cut for the trial, that we inform them on the meetings, and when they get the when they get the result, if they made the cut or not, we inform that of the close by clubs and organizations, so they know their options, if where they can play if they can't play with us. So we want to make sure that they play hockey for as long as they like, and as long as they enjoy it. We want to give them opportunities so they know where they can play.
So this thing about, let's talk just a moment about this issue of selection, because there's some that natural selection of, there's some that just don't have their heart in it, right? They're just not, they're sort of into it, but they're mainly in it for their buddies, but they really don't have the love for it. So this, when they don't make the cut, yes, some people think that it's bad that it provides that natural selection of that they're quitting hockey. People say, well, we don't want anybody to ever quit hockey. Well, at some point, people are going to quit because their desires in other areas are there. I mean, what's your view on that?
No, well, it's as you said, I can just go to myself. When I quit, I didn't have the desire to put down the work and time that was needed. So as you said, naturally with time, people are going to quit for different reasons. So
yeah. But so the reason why you guys are bringing them in at U15 is that you want to be able to provide a more training, more opportunity at an earlier age to work with them longer to prepare them for NIU.
Yeah, because our goal is to, as all of the clubs in Sweden, you want to have as many kids as possible from your own club or from your own region. Partly because they don't have to move from home; they can live home still and get the help from their parents and family with food and cleaning and everything like that. That's a big adjustment to make when you're 15 to move. If you move 6 hours and have to live by yourself, and not just getting accustomed to a new town and a new club and a new system and more practice hours and everything that comes with that, but you have to grow up on a personal level also much faster and more than if you live at home. So I think I speak for all the clubs in Sweden that you want to have as much players as you can from your own club and close region. So
and that competition is good, I think, and I think that and providing, because you have resources, you have staff, you have facilities, you can then provide that for those that are committed to put in the work. If I'm putting in elite prospects, then J18 from Skellefteå, it's not all Skellefteå guys on here, but it is a lot of them. I mean, I would say if I put this roster up versus, let's say, Leksand, there's probably more local people in Skellefteå than there are local people on Leksand's roster for J18.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe that's because of that. But I think, but on the other hand, there's no guarantee that you're going to make the junior team in Skellefteå just because you were the U16 elite.
No, that's the backside of that. We can't guarantee anything, but we believe in what we do, and we believe that we give the players good what's the word? Förutsättningar. Swedish, good.
What is förutsättningar? You have good, I mean, you establish opportunities for them. And the other part is, let's say if you have a late bloomer that physically, or they started late, okay, they may not make the NIUs just like you were, but that doesn't mean that hockey has to end. It is extremely tough at the I mean, what you're trying to grow, or your job is to prepare them. And then the NIU, the next, so the general manager for the juniors and the coaches for J18 and J20, the philosophy or the goals and strategies for the juniors are a little bit different than what you're dealing with. But the reality of is, you know, the guys that are in that junior program at the J18 in Skellefteå, I mean, there's a good chance that they would be playing professional hockey at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I think Skellefteå, historically, if you look back, has been a great distributor of players up to the professional leagues. If there's in Skellefteå, if it's other teams in the men's league, or that was what I was going to try to say earlier with we can't guarantee that they make the NYU, but we believe that we give them good opportunities so they get the tools that they need to make their journey in their own times. So if, as you said, if they're late bloomer, they have the tools and that they've learned from us in their early years, and can take the long road to make the professional leagues anyway. Like Per Lindholm, we have in our men's team here now. He's I think he was the last guy in TV-pucken and the last guy in on the NYU. And then he didn't make the men's team after junior, so he went to, I think it was Division 1 or Allsvenskan, and then made it back to Skellefteå's pro league then, and then he's been in Toronto in NHL and national team with the World Championship. So he's had a pretty good career anyway, even though he was a late bloomer. Jonathan Pudas, best defender in the league last year, also took the long road. So we want to give them all the opportunities they need and all the tools that they need to reach their goals, and then however long it takes, but we want to give them the tools to make it.
And I think that, I mean, if we're for those who are listening in, and I think that Skellefteå has for a long, long time been a leader out there and have got, solid fundamental steps that they follow and
Yeah,
that everybody follows. So I think you're a great example of, you're coming in with enthusiasm and a background, and you're falling in line, and you're following the system, and you're learning, and you're able to add to it.
yeah,
And that's what, when you have that kind of um, base systems in place, you increase the likelihood of success in the goal of developing good people and good hockey players for life.
yeah,
And I think that there's a lot of organizations in the US or Canada that could really learn from that consistency and the longevity and the results that it produces, versus like, the hot flash in the pan that is, here one moment, gone the next.
yeah,
There's one thing to say about consistency, and I think Skellefteå has been there for a long time. One of the longest, where some organizations struggle
yeah,
now, that used to be Djurgården, AIK,
yeah,
Södertälje, Brynäs, Björklöven,
yeah.
Västerås.
Yeah, Leksands been there just a few years back also.
Alexander's always been up there. It's had a little dip, but
Yeah,
I say
yeah.
that because
No,
they're in
it's
SHL now. But
yeah, exactly. But no, it's been awesome to come into this, as you say, this organization that has had a success for such a long time, with developing players, but also with the results with the men's team in the Pro League. So
yeah,
it's been great. It's been fun to compare with how it was in Leksand also, even though they're in a bit of a different stages in how their organization, as we talked about, Leksand has just made it up to SHL a few years ago.
yeah.
Skellefteå have had much more time to stabilize themselves here. But
How often do you call like Jon Erik Modigs at in Leksand and say, "Hey, help me out here"?
yeah, I've given him a few calls actually. In the beginning, I just said, "Yeah, I got this job. What do I do? How do you do this?"
Such a
But
good guy. Such a good guy.
yeah, he's great. So now we speak frequently, and I'm back in Leksand visiting sometimes. Family, as we talked about, I still have my little brother there, and my mom and dad lives there.
Yeah.
So I try to visit whenever I can, and then I, of course, have to visit the ISOL and all the people there. So.
Yeah. Well, there's a saying for those that don't know, but Leksingar finns överallt. That means
Yeah,
Leksand fans are everywhere. But so the more we can perpetuate that, the better, in my opinion. So
yeah,
last thing here as we round out, two things. You always ask the guest. You met yourself at age 17. What advice would you give yourself of things that you know now that you didn't know back then?
Watch as much of hockey as you can and try to learn from everything that you watch. Pick out small details and try to practice them yourselves at home or on the rink or at the shooting range or whatever you have the setup at home. But watch a lot of hockey. You learn by mimicking or seeing others in other stuff. So do it in the ice hockey also.
Great.
And you have to put in a lot of time to get better at stuff. You can't expect change by just doing it a few times or here and there. You have to really put in the work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, awesome. And the last,
and have fun. Have fun. It's the
have
most
fun.
important.
Your main motive, your main key performance indicator in your job.
Yeah.
Are the kids having fun?
Make everything fun. Make a competition out of it. Invite friends or whatever, but make it fun.
Yeah. So last thing, we have a partnership with targetaid.com. James Reason and I have created a friendship, but they got a really, really good platform for fundraising, for and for creating content for organizations. So we have a little platform there on their site with Target Aid, where Swedish Junior Hockey Podcast is. So each guest has the ability to kind of name and the initiative is Klubben i mitt hjärta, so the team in my heart. Which one is your team in your heart?
Skelleftea.
Oh, I was gonna predict something there, but it's awesome. So totally get it. I'm afraid that so we weren't going to ask you to have two of them. So we will make sure that Skelleftea gets a part in there, and hopefully you can use it for content. Contact your social media person, and you will be in there. And some clubs use it to say, we want to raise money for this purpose, just like it was in Leksand when they had Drömmarnas Arena, or the supporter club bought an ice sharpening, a skate sharpener and these type of things. So hopefully we can help in that as well. So we'll communicate that as we get closer. They'll contact you about maybe getting a logo or something there as well. So Loui, thank you for coming on and talk about your role and life in the cold, dark Skellefteå up north of Sweden.
We have a lot of snow right now. It's been snowing constantly for like 4 days, so this car is totally covered by snow right now, so it's been crazy. But I live close, so I can walk. That's nice.
Thanks again, and we'll keep an eye, and especially we'll keep an eye on your brother, as this is his draft year as well. So so see how that goes.
It should be fun. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
All right.